What is up, everybody? Welcome back to day number two of vlogging with James. Today, I wanted to talk a little bit about goal setting and the power of controllables and uncontrollables and how that relates to setting goals. But this idea of setting goals, it's not an unfamiliar idea um, in life. We hear a lot about it growing up, but how do you actually set a goal that's that sets you up in the best possible way for success, or rather achieving that goal? And from what I've heard from my elders and my um, figures of authority, um, is you have to create short-term goals that are easily attainable in order to make it easier to attain those long-term goals, because it becomes very easy to forget what goal you're trying to reach if you set out a goal that is going to take 5 or 10 years or even more to achieve. You can lose sight of the goal very easily if you don't create those short-term goals. When you create those little wins, it helps the mind, and it helps you feel like you're accomplishing something, which is very important. You keep that morale high, you keep the spirits high, and when you do that, then you set yourself up for success. So, to put it into perspective, if you were wanting to be promoted, that may be a 1 to 5 year goal. How do you do that? You create the short term goals. You wake up early, you get to work a little bit earlier than everybody else, you turn in your work a few days before the deadline. These small things. When it comes to sports, if you have a goal where, if you're in high school or college and you want to play at the next level, whatever that may be, work a little harder in the gym, wake up a little bit earlier than everybody else, get some work in that no one else is doing. It's those small little things that add up. It's those small goals that help you achieve the long-term goals. And as far as controllables and uncontrollables play into that, a lot of the times we set goals that are unrealistic for ourselves. And they may not seem unrealistic to start with, but then you have all these variables thrown at you throughout this entire process. And a lot of those are uncontrollables. But what do we do with those uncontrollable variables is that we get upset at them, we get upset at ourselves, we get upset at the situation. When in reality, we can't control what our boss says. We can't control what kind of mood he's in. We can't control the weather. We can't control um, all these different things that we get so caught up in. And when I first was taught about this, it was in honest, it was in high school during a pre-season meeting with the coaches, and they created a T chart. And at the time, I didn't quite understand the importance of why they were doing this. I thought it just related to baseball, in that we had to write down controllables and uncontrollables. So, of course, the things that we can't control, the umpire, the weather, the other team chirping, all these different things that are so quick to judge and put the blame on that for our performance. When at the same time, guess what? The other team has to deal with the same thing. If it's 40 degrees outside, okay, you can't blame yourself or you can't blame the weather for a bad performance, because if the other team is beating you, they're doing it in the same conditions. Now, the controllables. When I coached, I preached two controllables: attitude and effort. Those take zero athletic ability, those take zero skill to put your best attitude forward and to put your best effort forward. Those are two things that anybody can do, no matter what shape they're in, whether that be physically or emotionally. Um, so when it comes to the gym, I can go there and drag my butt around. Where is that going to get me? Where is that going to get you? Absolutely nowhere is the right answer. So that attitude and effort, those are two things that you are in complete control of every day, that no one can do anything to change that except you. Um, so when it comes to like schoolwork or your job, if you go in with a crappy attitude and you don't give any effort, you're going to be miserable all day long. You're going to make other people miserable. What kind of person does that make you? Well, if you're aware of what you're doing and you want to change it, that's one thing. But if you're going in there every day and you're aware of what you're doing, you're aware that you're in a bad mood and you do nothing to change it, why even go? You know, because you're not doing yourself any favors. You're just going through the motions and you're giving people lip service, which that's not productive at all. Um, but as far as what my goals are, obviously, if any of you guys who are watching um, have looked at my Instagram page for lifting, my bio is Road to 240. That's something that I want to achieve. And for the longest time, 200 pounds is what I wanted to achieve, because in high school I was 160. And then I was 180 for a long time. Then I was 185 for a long time. Then I went up to 190 and I dropped back down. All these different variables that were causing my weight to fluctuate. And there was no constant, and it was so emotionally and physically draining on me. But it took hitting a little bit of an emotional rock bottom to be like, okay, well, I'm in complete control of this situation. I just need to do what needs to be done in order to achieve that goal. And so I had to take a step back and I had to say, okay, well, what are the variables that I can control? What are these short-term goals that I can achieve easily that are going to amount to something a little bit bigger? And that was diet, being more consistent in the gym, being more consistent with my sleep habits, um, doing the things that I needed to do in order to achieve what I wanted to achieve. And I got lucky because I did not expect it to be a quick process at all from getting from 180 to 200 pounds. I mean, I did not expect that to happen quick at all, and it happened within 4 weeks. And um, I think it's just because there were just so many years of wanting to get there, but not doing what I needed to do to get there. So many years of that I just got so upset with myself that I had a little bit of a light bulb moment to where I had to tell myself, no one is going to do this for you. No one is going to put in the work for you. No one is going to go to bed on time for you. No one's going to get up at the same time for you. Create these habits, create these small habits, and eventually they'll amount to something that's in your wheelhouse. And that's exactly what happened for me. And I'm I'm proud of myself for that. A lot of the times when we actually do put in the work, it's really hard to say that we're proud of ourselves, because we often look out to other people to see if they're proud of us. When in reality, if it's a goal that you're trying to achieve for yourself, who cares what other people think? This is great that I'm recording all these videos and posting, these progress pictures in the gym. But in reality, I'm not really doing it for anybody else. I'm doing it for myself. So from documenting all of this journey that I'm on, all these different times at the gym, and taking all these pictures, where I can look back and I can say, 8 weeks ago I was somewhere where I thought I would never break through, and now look where I am. And I can look at that and say, you know what, I'm proud of myself for that. And that's that's something that I have not been able to do for a long time. And honestly, I'm still struggling to do it, because it's so easy to look out instead of in, when it comes to something like that. And it's a hard concept for me to grasp, that other people's opinions don't matter as much as my own when it comes to self progress and self work. Because even though they're going to also reap the benefits of me changing something to better myself, I'm not doing it for them. And that just stresses the importance of being able to identify when you should be proud of yourself and when you should not look inward, because you don't want to get to a point where you're being selfish. I mean, that's never ideal. um, but that's just a little something that I wanted to touch on, a little food for thought. um, Obviously everyone else's experiences are a little bit different than mine, so you guys can take this and apply your own life to it, which I encourage you to do. big time actually, because at the end of the day, you guys aren't living the same thing as I am. So I want you to apply your own experiences and your own life to this situation here so that you can try and better yourself. Not for anybody else, but so that you can be the best person that you possibly can be, both emotionally and physically and maturity wise. Um, wow, I just parked like an idiot. But I'm going to go in the gym here and hopefully I'm going to try and get some of these workouts on video. I'm going to start out with a compound lift. I'm going to see if I can do some deadlifts, and then move on to arms after that because I don't want to lose overall functional strength as well. So I'll see you guys in there, and then we'll finish it up with a little conversation afterwards and move on to the next day. Welcome back, JDs and Littlemen. Wow, it's a beautiful sunset. Had a pretty decent workout. Wasn't the best one I've ever had. Pretty thrilled. I'll be honest, I was not expecting to work up to 405 on deadlift, but we did it anyway. My back will be thanking me tomorrow morning when I get out of bed. Although, I mean, I don't have the worst form of all time. I've been trying to work on my form and get that bar to move completely vertically with no sways in the movement horizontally. But it is a little bit harder with how long my femur is because, you know, the longer your levers, the more stress you have to put on your back to deadlift. So that's not ideal. But hey, those were the cards I was dealt. So got to work with what I got. I would like to go ahead and mention this. If any of you guys can relate to it, or in the future, if any of you guys work at a gym, being polite when somebody walks in, I mean, that can change somebody's workout, because there have been multiple instances where I'm just in the worst mood of all time, and the guy greeting me at the desk or the girl greeting me at the desk is very polite and is asking me, hey, what muscle group are you going to hit? You know, something that small can change the course of somebody's day, and I can attest to that firsthand because it's happened to me so many times. And so that just goes to show you, you know, be nice to people when you can, because you really don't know what kind of impact that's going to have on them. And, you know, I don't want to project my bad mood onto someone who's being nice to me, so that forces me to reciprocate their good intentions and their niceness. I don't think that's a word, but them nicely approaching. You know, I have to reciprocate that, and that kind of forces me to shed that bad mood. But today, for instance, you know, we talked about the controllables and uncontrollables in the gym. There were a couple machines that I had planned on using that were taken, and before I could go grab them when someone left, someone else grabbed them. And, you know, I can sit there and be upset and say my workout's ruined, or I can kind of switch it up, you know, figure out how to make the best of the situation. Because one thing that I've always been told, and one thing that I always tell my friends is that, and I'm sure maybe some of you guys watching have told this to you, but you can always find good in a bad situation. No matter how bad it is, you can find something good. Um, and that may be really hard to do. It's definitely a skill and something that you have to hone in. Um, but it is possible, and knowing that that's possible makes bad situations just a little bit easier for me, because even though it's hard to remember that in a crappy situation, once you do remember it, you have something to hold on to. And more importantly, I'm not ashamed of my faith by any means. Knowing someone that you have, whoa, that did not come out correctly. Knowing that you have someone, that being Jesus, knowing that you have someone behind you that's got your back 24/7, no matter the situation, is a liberating feeling. Being able to know that no matter what mistakes you make, what situation you're in, that you have someone that's going to love you and forgive you, even if you hurt him. That's a really awesome situation that you can find yourself in as a Christian. And I'll be the first to say my faith is something that I have struggled with these past 5 years, specifically right at the start of COVID, because once all the churches shut down, it's really easy to do these streaming services and stream church on the TV, but once it started back up, it was really easy not to go, and that's something that I'm ashamed of, but it's something that I was aware that needed to change, and that's the first step in making the change. So that's something that I encourage you guys to do. If you're struggling with your faith, reach out to me, reach out to a friend. That's something that I love talking about, because it helps me be a better Christian too. Is if you're struggling with your faith, reach out to someone, talk to them about it. You don't even have to try and make this big, huge stride of immediately becoming a better Christian right away. Those small goals that I was talking about, that theme translates to so many things in life, including this idea of growing in your faith. Set a small goal. My dad used to tell me that growing a relationship with God is like lifting weights in the gym. The more you do it, the stronger you get. And that sounds so cliche and so easy, but if you really think about it, I think I said it in the last video that the deeper you look into cliches, they hold a lot of truth for a reason. It's just we've become so blind to this truth, so blind to this this obvious idea that it loses its weight. But if you're able to recapture that weight and understand what the truth is behind these cliches, then you can get something really beneficial out of it. So with faith, knowing that I have progress to make, knowing that there are things that I need to fix to be a better person, to be a better Christian, to be a better friend, brother, whatever it may be, I know that there's things that I can do to improve upon that. And I want you guys to try and do the same thing. It doesn't even have to be about faith. It can just be being a better person. If there's small things, these small goals that you know that you can set that are easily achievable, I want you to challenge yourself to go ahead and set them and do what you can to try and meet them. Because at the end of the day, you're just gonna reap benefits out of it. Oh boy, somebody got in a little fender bender. Wow, that sounded zesty. Gotta edit that out. Someone got in a little bit of a fender bender. Anyway, back to the point. Reach out to someone. Reach out to me. Reach out to your parents. Reach out to other friends. Whatever you have to do to set these goals. Write them down. Journaling is such an underrated method of self-betterment, self-improvement. Writing down. This is my challenge for you guys today. For the next week, or even for the next couple days, at the end of the day, I want you to write down all the bad things that happened and all the good things that happened. And over time, you'll notice a theme. You're going to notice that you're probably going to be dwelling on the bad things that happened, that you're going to become blind to the good things that happened. And if you end your day by writing down this list of bad things and writing down this list of good things, you'll see that more often than not, the good outweighs the bad, not only in number, but just metaphorical weight. Especially if you're able to dwell on the good things, then you're going to forget about these bad things, and you're going to end up having a better day, sleeping better. I mean, that is such an important thing in life is good sleep, and so much these days are do we stress ourselves out to the point where we can't sleep, and then that affects us physically and emotionally in all these different ways, and that's no good. I want the best for whoever's watching this video. I want the best for myself. I want the best for my family. And whoever I can help, whether that's one person or three, if I can help at least one person by just giving these little testimonies of what's helped me and what I've been told can help me by people who have been in the same spot that I've been in, or who are in the spot that I want to be in, having these conversations with individuals, if I can help at least one person, then hey, that's awesome. That's a funny bumper sticker. I don't want the YouTube video to get taken down, so I'm not gonna explain it, but it's a number that's anyway. But sorry. Hey, a little immaturity never hurt nobody. All right. It makes the day better. If you can laugh at something silly, then by all means go for it. You just got to know when to not be immature. And honestly, that's something that I'm still working on. But hey, it's all right. But yeah, I want to challenge you guys to go ahead and make that little T chart. Write it in your phone in your notes app, or write it down on a in a notebook somewhere. Go to Walmart, spend a few bucks on a notebook, and make a little T chart. And every day, do this before you go to bed. And also after that, write down goals. Like, actually write them down so that you have a hard copy of what that you're trying to achieve, because you're able to refer back to that, versus if you create these goals in your mind, with how much stuff we have going on in our lives, it's really easy to forget these things. So go ahead and try and do that. And honestly, if you do try and do that, reach out to me. Let me know if it works. Let me know if it doesn't work, because if I'm just talking to myself here, then that's okay too. But like, I want to know if these things are actually helpful for individuals and for you guys. So it really does help. It helped me. And if you don't know me that well, believe me when I say I'm very stubborn when it comes to making changes to fix problems in my life. That's definitely something that I'm working on every day. So yeah, go ahead and see if you guys can do that, and let me know if it works. Let me know if it doesn't work. Let me know if there's a different way that you guys like to do this. And as always, like and subscribe to the channel, please. Peace out.